A few years ago, my wife and I wanted a mural for our son's nursery before he was born. I had zero experience painting anything at the time, but fortunately for us, we had a family friend who happened to be an art teacher. We made it happen. That mural turned out amazing. We loved the way it looked. We loved walking past that room. We loved seeing the mural on the wall. It was sad when we ended up having to move because we really enjoyed having that mural. We never get painted over it before we sold the house. That mural turned out great. I didn't know it then, but that one wall changed the direction of my entire life. Since then, our family's grown. We have two little ones now, a 1-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old son, and we've moved a couple of times before we finally settled into what we would refer to as our forever home. My wife wanted to carry on that same tradition, painting a mural in our kids' bedrooms to match what they love. Only this time, this art teacher that helped us before had like a family emergency. We didn't want to bother her, so it was all on me. Knowing me, I take a while to do anything. I mostly am kind of like a perfectionist in a way. I didn't want to spend weeks painting a mural for our kids' bedrooms. I kind of put a time limit on it. I made sure that I wanted to do this in a day. I gave myself a limit. One day, I'll paint a mural, and then I didn't do it back-to-back days, but the plan was to do it in one day so that I wouldn't miss out on any kind of family time. So my wife picked out a reference photo for our daughter's bedroom. I used that reference photo. I ended up finding a projector on eBay to help me project the image that I wanted to use. Knowing me, if I was going to draw that, it was going to take me at least a day just to get the drawing that I wanted, and I didn't want to spend that kind of time. So I found, pretty good projector on eBay, pretty good price on a budget, and projected the image I wanted, traced it in chalk, and then painted the mural. My wife took the kids for the day. After that one mural, my daughter loved that wall. My son looked at it, he was very excited, and the first thing he said, and he kind of slumped his shoulders, was, "What about my wall?" And that broke my heart. I was like, "Oh man, hey, sorry, bud. I'm gonna try to do this in like next week. We'll try to do your mural so that you'll have it done." So I ended up asking him. He's big into superheroes. Like, what kind of superheroes do you want? And he ended up giving me a whole list of characters that he wanted. So, I tried to mock up something on my computer, use that projector, and hit up his mural in about a week after. When I finished my son's mural, I stepped back and something clicked. For about a year, I've been trying to find a way to make some extra money on the side. I've been watching videos on YouTube about, making money as a side hustle, like finding a side hustle that I could do, try to make some money on the side. And I figured, why couldn't this be it? Times are tough. My wife and I are both teachers, and although we love doing what we do, I just wanted to find a way to make some extra cash. And I figured this would be a great way of doing that. We have a new mortgage, prices are going up, the economy isn't helping us at all. So we need to find a way to make our lives a little easier without missing out on family time. Growing up, my parents worked very hard to give my brother and I everything we needed, and most of the times everything we wanted. They never missed a birthday. My dad, as a talented man as he was, he would actually make a design for our birthday cakes every year. My mom would bake the cake, and then that night, my dad would spend the entire night decorating the cake with icing, different colored icings. He'd mix all the colors. It was spectacular. My brother and I always look forward waking up the next morning saying, "Hey, well, what did Dad put on our cake?" And he'd always pick something we loved, My father now has dementia. He's had it for about 4 years. It's been really hard to see all the things that, all the talents he used to have just diminish right in front of our eyes. And it made me realize, we don't have forever. The talents we have now may not be the same talents we have later. And I feel like I have a little bit of talent, So I figured this would be a great time for me to do this. I don't want to wait too long before it's too late. So in a way, this is an inspiration that my dad really gave me and instilled in me. Not only did he decorate our birthday cakes, he also coached us, like in every sport that we wanted to play in when we were growing up. Aside from, school sports, recreational sports when we were young. I wanted to become that same role model. So that was a big inspiration for me to become a teacher and then eventually a coach, which I never thought I'd ever do. And then also to become a father. I don't want my kids to grow up seeing my wife and I struggle. Not that we are, but, like I said, the economy is tough. I want to see them see that creativity can support a family. That same creativity that I feel my mother and father instilled in me. I go down a lot of rabbit holes on YouTube. I'd probably say the biggest things I go into are probably like financial advice. And the other one is like, there's just a lot of self-help things and trying to make some extra money. I remember watching this YouTube video as a woman calling in. She was talking to some financial gurus. She was having a hard time agreeing with her husband. I guess they had 3 daughters. 2 of the daughters had moved on, they're in college. But the rule in the house was if a kid wanted a car, they had to pay for themselves. She's talking to these financial gurus, and so like, okay, well, what aren't you agreeing on? And they said that their 15-year-old daughter wants to spend $50,000 on her car, on her first car. So these guys on these financial gurus are like, what does your daughter do that she makes that kind of money? And the woman says that she's an influencer. She makes $8,000 to $10,000 a month, which is insane. I heard that. I listen to these things on my phone on my way to work. I know it's on YouTube. I don't really even like watch the videos. I'm just listening in. And I almost stopped the car and pulled over. That's ridiculous. $8,000 to $10,000. Like, that's obviously way more than I make in a month. As a teacher. So that kind of money is life changing, especially in times today. And another rabbit hole I kind of find myself going down on YouTube is making your own YouTube channel, which brings me here. This is very awkward for me. Videotaping myself talk to essentially strangers about my life and what I plan on doing. But I am super excited because this is something that could potentially make my life a lot better. I love doing this. I love listening to music while I paint. Like that. That's amazing to me. If I could do that for a living, that'd be a game changer. I could spend more time with my family. This is going to be huge. Who knows? We'll see. I'm just getting started. I'm not a great artist. I'm not a contractor. I'm not a professional in any way, sense, or form of a mural artist, but I'm going to try. If you want to follow along as I learn how to build this side hustle and make life a little brighter for my family, maybe yours, subscribe and come paint with me.